but yet I wasn't doing anything to move that vision forward because I had in my mind that I needed to have decades of experience before I would be allowed. Of course, that's my holdback, that I could pursue that. I'm like, oh, I don't have, my book needs more traction, or I need to have more coaching clients, and I've got to have this many things done. And I just finally said to myself, okay, you can't, like, you will stagnate forever unless you start owning that dream, that vision you have when you close your eyes to move forward.
Penny, welcome to the show. I'm so freaking excited you're here for so many reasons, but officially welcome to my show.
Thank you for having me. I am thrilled to be here with you specifically and the audience.
Yes, we're going to have so much fun today. Penny has a bit of a celebration hangover happening right now, but we're going to get to that in just a moment. Penny, I'm going to pass you the microphone. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
I am Penny Castleman. I am a life coach, an author, and a budding speaker.
A budding speaker,
so
an amazing speaker.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Right. Aren't we all our own worst enemy when
Totally.
it comes to that? But yeah, so I help women embrace the dreams that they've always had, to move forward with excitement and confidence to really go after and achieve their dreams.
Yeah. And you do such a great job of it. You have such an incredible story, which I do want to touch on today. But one of the big things we're celebrating, why don't you share the big news? What's going on? What are we celebrating today, Penny?
Yes. So today I am suffering from a champion hangover because last night I was given the honor of coming in first place for a speaker slam competition with the theme of impact.
Oh my goodness. Yes, friends. She just beat out 99 other submissions, which were speakers for a speaking competition. She placed
Yeah.
first last night in that competition. We're going to talk about that today, what went into it. But like, round of applause. If there's like a fake applause noise that we can add over this, Max, that'd be super cool. We feel like a legit show here for a moment. But Penny, I'm so freaking proud of you. So let's wind it back a little bit. We're going to get to the speaker slam piece. I want to hear all about it, but let's give some context. So you mentioned you're a life coach. How long
Yes.
have you been coaching? How long have you been in business?
So I have really been in business since 2020. I actually hung out my virtual placard saying I was open in 2017. But then life threw me a little twist, which happens to be the topic of my memoir. Was diagnosed with breast cancer, dealt with that for 2 years, came back with renewed energy in 2020, and then, well, you know, that thing
We all know how
came.
that went.
Yeah. Um, so I have been doing it for a couple years now, and am just loving the growth and the journey that I am on.
Yeah, and you're doing so great with it too. You're getting some traction in your business, but tell a little bit to people listening. About 6 months or so ago, it might have been greater. I don't remember the time frame for you, but when did you really start exploring this idea that okay, I want to take this whole speaking thing seriously? Like I want to get on stages. I know I have a good story, as you
Right.
do. You knew that. You knew you were good in front of people, but when did you really start thinking like, I got to start working on this?
Um, it was probably it was about a year ago that, as I was moving forward in I was in a business container with a whole bunch of other entrepreneurial women, and seeing them accomplish things, and like, okay, they can do it, I can do it. And I kept putting in the effort, but I think my effort was busy effort, not meaningful effort. And, luckily I have been passionate about personal development for so long that I finally, January of this year, 2022, um, really, like, I had a talk with myself, right? Like, I'm sitting in my office in my chair going, okay, girl, like, seriously, what is your problem? You say you want to do all these things, but you are kind of stagnating. Like, there's no forward movement. And when I got honest with myself, every time I had had a coach or um, a mentor tell me, close your eyes, right? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, where are you? What do you smell? What do you see? What are you doing? And every single time that I did that, I was on stage. I was coming out from behind a curtain with a spotlight and mic'd up and confidently striding out to an audience, clapping and excited to hear what I had to say. But yet I wasn't doing anything to move that vision forward because I had in my mind that I needed to have decades of experience before I would be allowed. Of course, that's my holdback, that I could pursue that. I'm like, oh, I don't have, my book needs more traction, or I need to have more coaching clients, and I've got to have this many things done. And that, and, I just finally said to myself, okay, you can't, like, you will stagnate forever unless you start owning that dream, that vision you have when you close your eyes to move forward. And so that's it, and it's all about serendipity too, right? Like, there, I got introduced to you through another woman who was in your program. And just literally out of the blue, she's like, oh, I thought of you today. And this was just weeks after I had this talk with myself in my office, and forwarded me your information. And I just went, okay, well, I had a talk with myself, and now this opportunity has landed in my lap, and I'm not going to ignore the signs. And so I jumped in
Oh my gosh.
because,
It's like an
yeah.
Ace of Base song. I wanna start singing it. I saw the sign.
Woo.
Which, side note, little, memory lane, that was my first cassette tape when I was a kid, and I broke it. I listened to it so many times, so just a little sweet moment
Nice.
there. Okay, I love that. So you would put this out to the universe, how cheesy and so true. You put it out there, and then literally that referral comes in your inbox. So you came through one of my trainings, right? We went through the workshops. So you
Yes.
you started working on it. What Talk to us a little bit about when you said yes to be like, all right, I am gonna work on this. Was it everything you imagined?
What? And more. um, you know, what another thing that I have recently fully embraced, and this goes back to 2020. I Up until 2020, I had taken every free course, every free workshop, every free, you name it, because I thought, okay, I'm smart, right? I went to college, I have an MBA, I can figure this stuff out. And finally in 2020, I just said, you know what? I have gotten this far with what I know and what I've absorbed in a free version. And it's time for me to invest in myself. And so in 2020 is when I started throwing money at real container programs where I was interacting with people, where I was getting more personalized, um, attention. And it was a game changer just in terms of stepping into what's possible, but really, reinforcing the belief in myself that, you know, I can do this. right? So when I was given this opportunity, um, for one of your workshops, everything just resonated. It was clicking, and you touched on things that were pieces of new information, or new ways to look at speaking. And I went, okay, I don't know these things. And honestly, I'm at a point where I don't want to keep digging into free, right? I will give someone money and really focus, do what they say, and it works, And so, woo, here I am.
Well, now here's the thing. I distinctly remember having a chat with you before you jumped in, and I remember you almost didn't. You do you remember that? You weren't going to join.
You know what? Maybe I have blocked that from my memory because it was such an amazing experience. I would never ever think that I wouldn't have second guessed
Yeah.
joining. But part of it too is, when you're first starting out, it's scary. It's scary to admit that you don't have all the skills right up front. It's scary to invest money, and it's scary to bet on yourself. But at the same time, what kept pushing me forward and was, my vision, and the fact that you were gracious enough to have a conversation with me, and just kind of walk me through what my concerns or objections were. So it was good.
I think if I remember correctly in that conversation, and this is what I want to, here's the thing, y'all, I'm really good at speaking, obviously. And when I get on a stage or on a webinar or a workshop, and if anybody has any kind of inkling to be like, yeah, I want to do that, it'd be really easy, y'all, to sell you my stuff. Like it's just, I do it really well. But one of the things, and we talk about this a lot, we talk about it on the podcast, we talk a lot about inside my programs, but there's this balance where we want to make sure that we're intentionally working on things that we actually need in our businesses. So I remember one of the things we talked about was I think I validated your vision of just saying, is this a thing you want to be doing in a year? Or is just speaking just kind of something you want to add as a notch in your belt? And when you shared with me that vision that you had around seeing yourself making an impact on stages, I think that's when the light bulb clicked for you of, okay, that's the action on my goal. It's connecting the dots between I want to work on this skill. You said that earlier. I thought that was so brilliant. It's
Yeah.
working on a skill to support your vision. So I love that. So side note, if anyone's listening, when this podcast episode airs, we are going to have our doors open for our program that's open right now for the Speaker Co, the Speaker Society, which is Penny is inside the society, so you can hear and connect with her and all the things. But this conversation isn't a sales pitch for that, although I mean it might be you from this, it might tip you over the edge. But what I really want to hit on with that is anyone who has that big pull around someday I want to speak on stages, if that's something that is you'd like to make happen soon, it is totally possible. And that's what we're going to dig in right now, because holy crap, girl, you made that possible. But from going from enrolling the program and working on your speaking to becoming like the winner of Speaker Slam, it was not a straight line. Can you talk a little bit about when you made the decision, I'm going to do this? What happened next?
Well, you know what? It's kind of, again, there's all this serendipity that happens in life. And I would just invite everybody to just keep your eyes open and your heart open and your ears open for things that you hear or might resonate. Like, maybe it's a sign, because uh, I got turned on to this opportunity in an email. Like, I was not pursuing um, a contest. Like, I was not actively going, where can I join a contest to hone in my chops and get my speaking skills tested? It was just someone that I knew passed along an email and said, hey, this is open if anybody wants to hop over and give it a try. And I went, okay, wow, I'm mentoring. And I just did it. Like I did not even think about what it would be required for me to participate in this. And that is, they always say, jump in before you're ready. And honestly, if I had thought too much about it, I probably would not have done it because it's a lot of work. But once I threw my hat in the ring, it was like, no holds barred, man. Like, you're in, let's go, let's get focused, and let's leave it all on the table.
Yeah. Why don't you explain
Uh,
real quick, what was the competition? Give us like the detail, the logistics. What
yeah. So
explain
the logistics are this organization called Speaker Slam picks a topic. The topic that the last one of this year, which is the one I was alerted to, was impact. That's it. They just give you the word impact. You can interpret it however you want, approach it from any angle. Um, and the first round, so there's 2 rounds in the speaking competition. The first round is you have 4.5 minutes to succinctly deliver a speech on video. So my first submission was just a video submission. And then they would go through all of them, and there were 100. And then they revealed the top 10. And I found out actually 8 days ago that I was in the top 10. And from there, the top 10 then compete live. So you have the option to completely rewrite your speech, which that did not even enter my mind because I had practiced the one I delivered so much. But they did give us, those people in the top 10 got an extra minute for them to, add a little additional flair to their topic. So last evening, I was second in the lineup and they announced me and I knocked it out of the park.
you more than knocked it out of the park. You were amazing. You're amazing. I wonder, I don't know, we didn't talk about this before, but is it on YouTube, the final?
It
Are
is.
you allowed to share the audio? I.e., could
Oh,
we put the
I
audio in this
am.
episode?
Yes, in fact,
Oh,
I've already posted the final, the entry that got me the first place is on my YouTube channel.
okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
so it's
Okay.
already posted.
Cool. We'll see if, well, I don't know the legalities around ripping audio off of YouTube, but if we can, we'll slice it into this episode because that would be super cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you won, right? So talk me through last night.
Yes.
How are you feeling going into it?
I was sweating in lots of places you shouldn't,
All the places.
but
That's totally
all
normal.
the places. But
We call those the pre-stage sweaties and the on-stage sweaties and the after the stage sweaties. It's just the sweaties.
yeah, it was. It was good though. Part of what made it comfortable for me is, I will be fully transparent. I have not spoken on a quote real stage, right? Like
A
up on
physical
a
stage.
with a podium in front of thousands of people. So I was delivering not only my video submission, but also when I delivered this live, it was in my own house, in my own office.
Yeah.
So there was that little piece of comfort that I had, knowing that I was surrounded by familiar things. But um, yeah, I felt really good. Honestly, I cannot lie. I felt really good going into it. I had practiced and practiced and practiced and walked around my kitchen and gave my speech and walked around thinking about it while I brushed my teeth and I would think about it. So I knew there was nothing that I was going to get tripped up over because, one of the, you just practice. You just got to practice. That's,
Yeah, you do, right? And so can you talk a little bit about because you worked on the speech with a lot of your fellow community members.
Yes.
Could you just talk a little bit about, because it's one of those things, right? Somebody here is like, oh, enter the competition, just go for it and just practice a lot. There was some stuff in between. So what would you say? We don't have to get to all the details, but what would you say were some of the things that really helped increase your level of confidence so high when you stepped on that stage?
Yeah. So I think part of it is when it doesn't matter what you're doing, but in speaking, I could, practice it as much as I wanted in front of a mirror or record myself, but it's me critiquing me. It's, and there are things that I could not see or hear um, in practice that when I actually delivered it to you and to fellow people in the group, they were like, "Oh yeah, but you could tell that you got much more comfortable halfway through," or when you said these words with a certain amount of punctuation or staccato or pause, like that didn't register if
Yeah.
I was just looking at it myself, and I was like, "Oh, with that feedback, I now know to be conscious of those things
Yeah.
as I move forward."
And it's like once you have those, somebody else points out those pieces, right? Then when you do your practice, whether it's live or you're watching it back, then you have something to look for because you have that reference point.
Yes.
Otherwise, like that awareness is not there.
Yeah, it is.
One of the other things that I noticed, you tell your story in that piece. How did your story develop over the course of you preparing that speech?
So at first I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. 4.5 minutes, like, psh, I can hop on the phone. I can leave a Voxer that's 5 minutes long for somebody, right? Without
Same
thinking,
girl, same.
right? But then when I started to develop it and I started, um, just voice recording myself, I was like, holy cow, I can't fit all of this in, right? It's just to be succinct and powerful and inspiring. It's a skill. Like, I don't think until I entered this competition that I realized how much speaking is truly a skill that no one is born with, but that you can absolutely get better at.
Yeah. Okay, I failed on making sure that hammered through your head earlier. Well, we'll work on that. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
add in some kind of like submissions into the society. Yeah, something that was really struck me with you specifically, your story around leaving, and granted, people can go listen to, or we'll try to include in the episode a
Sure.
slice of your story here. But you have
Mhm.
a really, really incredible story. Uh, I know that was one of the challenges that you had overall when we started was like there's so many different facets of your story around going through your MBA, kind of getting the job, and then having cancer, and then the
Right.
20, like there's all these things. What did you like any for anyone else listening who has a big story with a lot of pieces? Do you have any advice for them around how do you take such a big story and distill it down into something for an audience?
Wow.
I'm hitting you with a big one here, but it's
You
a
are
question I
hitting
get
me
all the
with a
time
big
that I talk
one.
about, but I'm curious from somebody who sat in that seat, um, what comes up for you?
So, first of all, validation that every piece of your story has meaning. It doesn't matter whether it was during, college or my MBA or having cancer or, in this competition. Every piece of my story has a lesson, has something that is valuable to someone in the world. Um, and I had to get, this might sound harsh, but I had to get pretty brutal with what I included in my talk because when I'm what I realize now, and God bless my friends for listening to me for all these years, but if I just sat down across from you for coffee and started telling you a story, trust me, you would probably get a whole bunch of details where you were like, keep going. Okay, let's get to the point. Let's go. And doing this competition really helped me realize there are pivotal moments in every story that you can distill down that provide the biggest impact. And just when you're faced with that time, at least for me, when I was faced with that time constraint, it really helped me get brutally honest with, okay, this really, in the grand scheme of things, is not something that adds a whole lot of value. So I'm going to be okay with taking this out so that I can focus on those key things that will inspire or impact or move
Yeah.
someone listening.
And it comes back to the theme for that talk was impact, right? And one of the
Yes.
things that is so central to a really good talk, whether it is 4.5 minutes or it's a 1 hour keynote, like whatever time frame, one of the things we talk a lot about inside the Speaker Society is how do you distill your talk down into a singular core message so that that becomes the filter, right? Take the ego aside, go with the filter. So I know you worked on a couple talks inside the program, but I'm just curious from your perspective, how instrumental was identifying that like central core message? How was that for you in shaping any of your talks?
Well, it definitely helped keep me focused, right? I mean, without having that laser vision, that especially for this most recent talk, the theme impact, okay, that was very clear, and I had to be laser focused on making sure that that was in my talk. As far as the other, my signature talk that I am still in development with inside the group, it's doing this short little competition, 4.5 minutes, has really opened my eyes to one, how many things I can actually fit into a keynote speech.
Yeah.
It's way more than I had given myself credit that I could include, and definitely will help keep it tighter when it's delivered.
Yeah. A lot of times when we have the space, those who are similar to us, who are very generous with our words,
Yeah.
I'll phrase it as that, right?
Yes.
Where there's a lot of extra words. And here's the thing, when you're speaking live and you're used to facilitating groups or having conversations, all the extra words, they work, right? But this is where it does get very difficult. And I struggled with this too a lot when you have to distill something into a very small container, that high stakes pressure gets in there. And I don't know if this happened to you, but I know for me, when I started recording short form video, or video in general, I would be like, hold on. I thought I was really articulate. I thought I was really good. Like, am I not? Like, is no one telling me that I'm actually terrible or that I don't know
Right.
what I'm saying? Or so did you struggle with that too, especially when you started like trying to condense it down into a short form piece?
Yes. Yes, I did. Because, oh, well, the other thing too, and this is, um, I always thought I spoke at a pretty decent pace, but it is
I'm laughing hard right now because I know exactly what you're going to say.
because I feel like I, I'm just completely showering people with words when I finally deliver a speech, because you've mentioned we have to talk quicker to keep people engaged and listening and attentive, and it's at such a faster pace than I am used to talking,
Yeah.
that yeah, that was very comical for me, because I was like, I thought, oh my gosh, my lips need a little workout here,
Yeah,
because
yeah. Oh, that's why I have chapstick next to me all the time. Okay, I love that you brought that up. That's like a very geeked out detail piece, but that's one of those things that people don't think about. But
right.
we talk a lot about delivery skills and experience, but I think people hear that and like nod, yeah, yeah. But there really is an art form to the vocal and the art form of the hand gestures and the pace and
Yes.
all those pieces. Can you just speak to that just for a moment? Because I think it's really easy for people to like nod their heads and go, yeah, 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 I got to work on that. But it really makes a big freaking difference. So I'm just
It
curious from your perspective, what did you notice and how did you grow over the last hot minute?
yes. Well, I still remember the first time you challenged us to go live uh, on Facebook. You're like, that's a stage two. Get out there.
Move
Who's
your
gonna
ass. Like,
right? Who's gonna do this? So I did it, and oh my, because I knew I would have to like critique it from a speaking perspective. Oh my gosh, my eyes were getting huge, my eyebrows were going up and down, and I thought, I look insane right now on video. And if I didn't know me, I would be scared. I'd be like, girl, shut it down. Like, you are too much. So it was so fascinating to, and once, it's one of those things, once you see, you cannot unsee.
yep,
And
yep.
so as soon as I knew that about myself, I was like, okay, all right, we got few little things we got to work on. But it really does make a huge difference because um, it's just engaging, right? It's how you connect with people, and especially given all we've gone through, everybody's craving more connection. So the more real you can be, the more inviting, the more um, relatable you
Yeah,
can be, the more magnetic, right, you become
yeah. I
on
love that.
whatever stage you're on.
Yeah, I think it's so easy for us. I mean, we all live in our own heads. We hear the sound of our own voice. We have our own perception of the rate at which we communicate. And okay, so side note, I was mentioning this to you. Emily and I were recording some videos earlier, and I had my own realization. We recorded, and as we're recording, I was thinking, oh my gosh, we are talking way too fast. And then I watched it back and I was like, oh, actually, it was a very normal pace. So even still, I do this all the time. My
Yeah.
brain plays tricks on me. And if I weren't trained to do that gut check, record myself, watch it back to test to see how my energy looks, how my framing
Yep.
looks, look at those things, are the outside world and the our inside perception, they do not align. Like we work hard to try to
No.
align that so we're aware, but it is very distorted. So
Yes.
I love that you brought that up and laughed at the creepiness of your first video. We all of us, y'all scroll back
Yeah.
on my Facebook page. Like there's
Right.
like oh, I love that. So okay, so tell me, you did your talk last night.
Yes.
When you I want to hear like when you finished the talk, how did you feel before you obviously knew about the ratings or the winning piece? Like when you ended your story, talk to me
Right.
about get present with that. What was that feeling like for you?
S- Calm, right? Like, as soon as I finished, I knew I nailed it. Like, and when I say nailed it, not necessarily that I was going to be number one, because I was the second out of the 10 to go. Um, but calm that I left everything on the table that I came with, and that all of my practice paid off, that I didn't forget words. And it would have been okay if I did, because I know I would have picked it up really quickly because I was prepared. Um, but yeah, if I had a real microphone, I probably just would have dropped it and walked
Don't
off.
ever do that. The tech people, those microphones are expensive. We got to get a fake mic to be able to do that though.
Yeah, a
I love
foam, a
that.
big foam microphone.
I love how you said, I really want to emphasize this. When you said, even if you wouldn't have gotten the right words right, or even if you wouldn't have remembered, you trusted that you would have picked it right back up.
Yeah.
Having that like piece, that wasn't true for you 6 months ago, right?
Oh, uh-uh. No, it was not. In fact, I can remember, I mean, just my personality type, right, is very um structured, right?
No.
I'm a, I know, right? Like I not only am I a
Penny with a
taskmaster,
Google Doc detailing every little thing? No, I
and
wouldn't do
honestly, that
it.
right, and so that's how I approached, um, well, speaking, and I quickly realized I have to approach it in a different way because I would never open my mouth on any stage if I stuck to my documents and typing things out and putting them all in because there is such value in just letting your brain move your mouth and get the message out,
Yeah,
and which is so different from typing
yeah.
or writing or yeah. And
It's so powerful. It's that piece, right? People think that in order to speak well, it's a sequence of words. But really what you just described is knowing what your words are, knowing what your message is more specifically, and
yes,
then working that muscle between the active brain pulling from that, like that core messaging piece that
yes,
you've already built, your brain being able to actively pull on that with a plan and be able to speak extemporaneously, such a big
right,
word. I think that idea, like, freaks people out, but that is the only way to really hold space and be present with your audience. That's
yeah,
the most powerful speakers in the world. They don't use scripts. They speak, quote unquote, from the heart, but that heart is based off of messaging they worked on.
yeah. And actually, I'll let you in on a little secret. There are some words in there that if you looked at all my previous, and I have lots of videos of myself practicing, um, I kind of like after they came out of my mouth last night, I went, literally my brain was processing two things at one time, like
Yeah.
what I need to say next and holy crap, what just came out of your mouth? Because
Yeah.
that is not what we practiced, but okay, we're rolling with it. Like it still makes
Yeah.
sense. So we're just gonna go. So
And
there are definitely when I watch it, I'm like, ooh, ah, wait,
and
right there.
and no one
Wait.
else knows that, right?
No one else knows
That
that yet.
piece, I
No.
wanna we never talk about that piece right there, that active brain, that when you are on stage, it's like, you're doing multiple tasks at once and you have to make
Yeah.
it look effortless. But part of that piece, right, is you are in real time laying the tracks for what's coming next. And you are also experiencing words coming out of your mouth, sometimes for the first time. Hopefully not,
Yes.
but that happens to me all the time. I don't know what's gonna fly out of my
Right.
mouth if I'm feeling inspired, right? That's why I have my own podcast. Like,
Yeah.
so, but that piece is
Yeah.
when you start gaining confidence and trusting your voice is
Yeah.
going to do its job because you have a plan that feels differently. Like now that you have that feeling, like walking off stage last night going, okay, I have this calm sense. I'm just curious for you, like, how do you think that that feeling is going to build from here?
Ah. Well, I think what last night taught me is one, I practice, I can do it. Like if I put the work in and it's something I want to do and I ask for help, I can do it because nothing gets done alone. And second, I had those moments in my talk that I don't know where that word came from out of my mouth because it is not what I practice. It made sense. I rolled with it. And I think just having, they what do they say? Fail more to
Fail forward.
grow. Yes,
Yeah.
fail forward. Thank you. I wouldn't necessarily call what I did last night, those words a
I mean,
failure.
you
However,
won, so
right, but I moved through it, right? And I didn't die. I probably sweated more than I needed to, but I moved forward, didn't die, recovered on the fly, because I had dug those wagon wheel tracks so deep in preparation that even when something came up that I wasn't expecting, my brain was like, oh, that was interesting. Okay, let's get right back into the groove. And off I went.
I
So,
love, first of all, I love me a metaphor. So that Yeah, wagon wheel.
Wagon
Take me
wheel.
back to some Oregon Trail in the 5th
Right.
grade. Oh, I love it. Penny, I'm so proud of you. And I
Thank
want to say
you.
this, as a coach, the best feeling in the world is when you see your clients succeed, but specifically when you see your clients work so hard for something that they want so bad, to see them get it is like the most magical thing. And just you have been such an inspiration for so many people in our community. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because your story, I think, is so inspiring. And it's what's so interesting around all this is we're not talking about a huge ass stage. We're not even talking about a conference stage. We're talking about the
Right.
serendipitous random opportunity that fell in your lap that you just said, huh, I should do this. Why not?
Right.
Like I love that. And I'm so in awe of you, and I'm so proud of you for doing the
Oh,
work and sticking through the mud, and you killed it, girl. You're
thank
just freaking
you.
awesome.
Thank you. I had a good teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I am good, but
Oh,
I can't do the
oh.
reps for you, right? I think
Well,
that
this is true. This is true.
it's one of those things is I think this is the difference between information and education versus doing the work. And one of the things that you started off in this episode talking about for you, that difference that you made around putting yourself in environments that were actually going to force your hand to do the work.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
2022 Penny is feeling very grateful for 2020 Penny, who made some bold decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could not have said it better. Thank
What
you.
do you what do you think 2024 Penny is going to be saying back to you now?
Man, she is going to be giving me a big old high five, rocking a pair of heels in a stellar dress across a massive stage, uh, saying thank you. Thank you for sweating. Thank you for listening to those serendipitous moments that nudged you. Uh, Thank you for asking for help. Thank you for surrounding yourself with community that supports and believes in you. And yeah, she's rocking it, girl.
I'm getting kind of teary thinking about that because uh I don't think we do that enough for ourselves, where we look at ourselves with gratitude for the decisions and the hardships, the scary things, the crappy
Yeah.
things, like the things that we walk through lead to what happens next. And I think sometimes just giving us space for the gratitude of that gives us
Yeah.
that perspective. So thanks for
Hmm.
playing along with me on that one. All right, Penny, I know that people are going to want to hear more about you slash connect with you. Where can people learn more about what it is that you do and just say, hey, connect and say congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to talk to everyone. The best place to connect with me is go straight to my website, pennycastleman.com. That is definitely where I post all of my media features and wins. If you want to see what I've done in the past, what's coming up for the future. Spoiler alert, November, I'll be in Toronto, Canada, competing for Inspirational Speaker of the Year.
Ooh, this is fancy.
Yes.
So we'll be working on that next, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
All right,
So
perfect.
if you want to stay up to date on everything, just head over to my website
Yeah.
and get on my list.
Okay, perfect. And I know you hang out on Instagram. So y'all, we were joking about, I mean, does anyone really hang out on Instagram? I
Right.
mean, we do, but
I'm
yeah,
trying to get better. I
yeah, we're,
promise I'm trying.
but Penny's on there. That's where she and I DM chat, but send her a note, tell her congratulations. She's worked her butt off. And here's the thing. It's just good juju in your world. So that way, when you have your own credible opportunities, somebody's going to pay it forward and tell you all the big congratulations. So please help me
Yeah.
celebrate Penny in the biggest way. Penny, thank you so much. I know you had a pretty like high last night adrenaline, and to ask you to
Yeah.
come on today and record and do a debrief right away. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for you. Thank you for being so generous with your time and sharing this
Mhm.
experience with us. You're just so great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Course. All right, friends. I hope that listening to this speaker success story was inspirational to you. If you want to learn more about how me and my team at the Speaker Co., how Emily and I can help you inside the Speaker Society, doors are open right now, but not for a very long time. So you can get all the details over. Just join us on Instagram. That's probably where you can get the best link. We have some free trainings happening depending on when you're listening to this. But if you head on over to thespeakerco.com, we'll have all the information there too. All right, friends. We'll see you again on the next episode.